Hello, welcome to the Talk of Cleveland. I'm your host, Nicholas Lyde, and we are so great for you guys to be with us today. We're going to have a great show for you guys. Normally, we give you so much great time with various great topics, but today, we're going to kind of take it to a little serious moment. We really want to talk about domestic violence today. I know there's been a lot due to recent events, things that have been going on, and it's something that we do want to address. And we feel like with the way that we do this show, we want to tackle it on at full speed. So, with me today is Mr. Alexander Copeland. Alexander, how are you doing?
Good. How are you,
Good.
bud?
Do you go by Alex or Alexander?
Alex
That's better.
fine.
Alex is fine. Good, man. Great to see you. Thank you for coming on the show with us today too. So, he is with us today. We're also going to be talking about domestic violence. So, Alex, if you can pretty much help us out, as far as understanding what's going on. Did you have a domestic violence dispute or anything? What happened?
Actually, yeah. I'm currently charged with misdemeanor 1 domestic violence, and the charge was against my father. I was living with my father at age 20, and a lot of things have been going south for a while.
Right.
And it was more or less like a ticking time bomb type thing. You know, we didn't talk, and eventually we just got to the point where we didn't have nothing to say to each other, and it got bad. We got physical.
So you said it was with your father, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So on the day of the incident that did happen, I mean, can you kind of give me any type of, pretty much what happened? Like, can you give me any kind of recollection of what happened that night?
Absolutely. It was actually first thing in the morning. He's downstairs yelling about who knows what, and I'm upstairs sleeping, and I hear it being directed, like my name being used on whatever he's talking about. And when I woke up, I had just a fire burning in my chest. As soon as my eyes opened, I hated the world that day. And he came upstairs talking to me, like just saying ignorant stuff, and I was already not in the mood for it. Like I said, there had been a lot of stress, between me and him, and everything else over the last couple of years. So this fateful morning, we let it get the best of us. He went ahead and jumped on my back after we started arguing, and I mean literally like jumped on me and was trying to assault me.
Oh, wow.
I had threw him off my back, and he had a mountain bike in the living room by the steps.
Okay.
And I had threw him off my back, and he hit his head on the back part. It's a gearbox where the gears change.
Oh, okay.
He hit his head on that, and it lacerated him in like 4 different spots up here, and it was bleeding quite severely.
Okay.
And that didn't stop because he was still trying to attack me. I tried to let him go and let him up because I had at that point, it went way too far and beyond.
Right.
And, that was an issue. And it kept going and kept going and kept going until his girlfriend had called the police. And
your girl. I mean, I'm sorry,
Yeah.
to cut you off. His father's girlfriend was at the scene at that time?
yes, she was the
Okay.
third party who phoned the police.
Okay, and then what happened pretty much after that point?
Well, I had left the house. I knew I was in trouble. I was assuming he was in trouble too, but I knew I was in trouble because I wasn't the one bleeding. I wasn't,
Right.
From when you show up to something like that and you see both sides of the story, like even before you ask a question, it feels like you don't even need to ask a question when you have someone bleeding and you have someone that's fine.
Right.
But I had left the house. I waited for the cops to arrive, and I went down there and I told them, point blank, me and my father were the one that got in an altercation. I'm just coming back now that there was law enforcement here, and see how we're gonna go about this.
Right. Did if basically even when she made the call, did you feel at any point that you just didn't have any control at all of yourself as far as what you were
I
doing?
did not. I did not have any control. I knew in my head that it was wrong, and I wish it didn't happen. I wish it would have stopped before that happened. But at the same time, like I said, without everything pent up between me and him, and it's I'm not saying domestic violence can't be something that just happens out of nowhere. So it can be one-sided. Someone can be angry and maybe abuse their girlfriend or something, but it wasn't like that. Like I said, me and my father were at each other's necks for quite some time, and we both just exploded. And neither one of us seemed to actually have the willpower to stop once it had started.
So at what point were you finally able to calm down yourself and being able, when that situation was going on?
When I saw him bleeding very badly, and I heard her on the phone screaming to the police, that kind of was like a wake up moment where I need to leave.
And then you said you had left out, and then when you left out, that's when you came back and the police had already arrived on the scene.
Yeah, I waited up the street at a neighbor's house until I seen the police arrive. Then I came back down.
Okay, and then what was that? What ended up happening with the police?
Well, they talked to him for a second. They talked to me for even a briefer second than that, and put me in the handcuffs. Like I said, when you show up to something like that, it's kind of like, I mean, I didn't really have too much on my side, you know, regardless of who started it or what happened. We were both involved, and somebody got hurt, and I wasn't the person who got hurt.
Oh, so you didn't have any lacerations or cuts or bruises or anything?
I had a minor cut on my leg and a little bit of like rug burn stuff on my knees from just kind of wrestling around with them. But as far as serious physical injury, no, nothing.
Could you even imagine, now looking at it now, could you even imagine that you would have even got into that type of level of altercation with your father?
Looking back at it, remembering how I was and how things have been going, it does surprise me, but at the same time, it's like something was bound to happen. You know what I mean? Even if it would have been way less severe than that, such as maybe even an argument that led to me moving out, or maybe him sitting there like, look, we need to talk. But yeah, it definitely it weighs a lot on you, man.
Did you notice, or when this situation happened, especially after the fact it happened, did you notice it? Did it come off as a domestic violence situation to you, or did you see it more just like an altercation?
I just seen it as an altercation. I didn't really think about the whole domestic part. The way I see domestic violence was between you and your partner.
Right.
You know, I didn't know the family aspect of domestic violence.
Yeah. That was an amazing part too. So I was wondering how, when that altercation goes on, how are you even seeing it from that perspective to know that, okay, hey, this is just a simple altercation. Now all of a sudden I'm on, like I said, you said you were handcuffed and arrested by the police, and now, you're getting possibly charged for something that's domestic violence. Could be pretty crazy. How was that feeling like at that point?
The whole feeling on that was, I didn't think about it a whole lot, specifically right at the time. But as a result of this domestic violence, I did end up serving 8 months in a correctional facility.
Oh.
And that was plenty of time right there to reflect inside and see who I was and why I did the things I did and what led up to that. It was an eye-opener to be able to see why stuff like that happened, or what led up to it.
Okay. So at this point now, how was after the fact? You said how long have you been out? Recently been out? I
was released July 24th, and it is now September 16th, so almost 60 days.
Okay, that's not too far then. So how's the relationship now? Have you been released between you and your father?
Actually, it's very great. It's very great. Neither one of us hold resentment towards each other or about what happened. We both understand why what happened, why it did happen, and why it happened, and we just see eye level.
So did you feel that this situation, this incident that happened, was needed for you so you could be able to learn a lot more? Did you treat it more as like a learning experience that really helped you grow and become a better person?
I wouldn't say necessarily that being in a physical altercation with a family member was needed, but what was needed was the stint of time to reflect into myself and see the error of my ways. So in a way, maybe it was because of what happened and how severe it was, but at the same time, it wasn't the fight that was beneficial. It was the time I served that gave me time. Like I said, time to just look in.
Right. Real quick, is there any advice you could be able to get to anybody who might be going through a situation like that themselves?
Absolutely. Think before you act. Action equals consequences, and thinking controls behavior.
Alex, appreciate you, man. Thank you so much for doing that. And thank you guys for tuning in to the Talk of Cleveland. I am your host, Nicholas Lott. We thank you so much for being a part of this. We want to hope that this issue is helping anybody that's out there today. We thank you so much, and we hope you guys have a great night.